I hate to say so bad, but it was to where you don't even want to like rewind your mind to think about it, right? Like it makes me, I'm already tearing up, talking about it because being a mom, you feel you want absolutely what's best for your child. And my son's 8.5, almost 9 now, and kind of started in kindergarten, and it was the same, actually preschool teacher that my son had. She came up to me and said, I think your child might have ADHD, but, it's too young really to, for an official diagnosis, but she said, at the time I'm thinking, what's ADHD, right? Like I really didn't know the exact descriptions per se, or what the diagnosis was. And so fast forward, we just tried behavior things at home and things like that, right? My husband and I did with him, and he's the youngest of 5. So he's already young, he's spoiled, all the things, right? But we tried the behavior things at home, kicked into first grade. He did fairly well in first grade. There were some ups and downs with that. Fast forward to second grade, and the first part of the year was pretty tough on him, behavior challenges, not being able to stay focused, stay in his seat, making noises all the time. And then those things would transpire here at home too. It felt like every family outing or every time, we sat down even for dinner, there was always something, right? And then it would be wound around. He thought he was a bad kid. And I'm like, you're not a bad kid. Like you are a great kid. And it felt like a domino effect, if that makes sense. It was like one thing would just go to another. And we just got to a point where we had battled a lot of health stuff with him, with constipation, even as an infant. Like I remember having to put prune juice in his bottle as an infant. And then fast forward, we were living, I know this, you're going to cringe. We were living on Miralax, And the pediatrician just kept saying, just keep giving it to him to make him regular. Just keep giving him Miralax. And so we pushed back against medicine for the longest time. And finally, my husband and I felt like we had no other choice. So we did the medicine route. And I remember specifically sitting in my pediatrician's office and, everything was great. He's going to do fine. He's going to do great. And I remember, giving him the medicine, and the first few days, it was like, he'd say, Mom, my body feels weird and things like that. So then it would be like teetering him on this medicine. And I would tell my husband, something doesn't feel right. It's that mom gut inside that something doesn't feel right. And then the side effects started. The no eating and the depression. I mean, at this time, he's 7 years old and he's saying things that absolutely no 7-year-old should say. And he is the most loving, outgoing, kind-hearted kiddo ever. And so I took him to a very prolific ADHD clinic after that. And they pretty much told me, Nicole, you're doing what you can. And we can prescribe you a different medicine, but it's 99% that, possibility that he's either going to have the same side effects with it or even worse. And I remember walking out of there. I mean, I would cry myself to sleep at night, right? And I remember walking out of there just like, I felt hopeless. We were even to the point where I was going to pull him to homeschool. I mean, travel a lot for our business. I just was going to pull him. Because it just, it got to a point where it was just so tough. And the constipation into things, like it would be so bad that when he finally did go, it would be days. If I didn't give him Miralax, it would be days. And then he wouldn't go at school and and I have to go pick him up from school or things like that. And so it would just, like I said, it was like a domino effect that the bad moods. We all know if we have a stomach ache or we're not feeling good and we can't go to the bathroom, we're grumpy too, right? Like our bodies just don't feel good and we're not going to be able to be the happy-go-lucky people that we are, right? And so that's what was going on with him. And I'm not kidding you, within a week of starting this diet and things, this was the beginning of last August of 2023, I haven't given him any Miralax, nothing, zero. We went from literally living on it every single day to a week later, absolutely nothing. And he's having regular bowel movements every day, like doesn't complain about a stomach ache anymore. like I said, within a week of starting this supplement schedule and really, cutting out his foods and things. I mean, because we just cut cold turkey, I just said, this is, and it was hard for him, because he was used to having his waffles, and I said, well, we're just going to have to make them a different way. Well, then he didn't like them, because mom couldn't make them the way that he would, So it was just pivoting and shifting, right? People laugh now, but my child eats spaghetti almost every day for breakfast. Yes, he does. But and I mix a scoop of the unflavored bone broth, Paleo Valley bone broth in with the sauce, and he has chickpea noodles, and that's what he eats for breakfast. So that is in venison, and ground venison. We just shifted, and like I said, now it's like it's nothing. It felt like, for mom and dad to change our, the eating schedules and things, it felt like a lot. But I mean, just within a week of doing that, he was going to the bathroom on a more regular basis. Even the fact of when it was time to, let's just say, get in the bath at night, it used to be no. And it was almost like that automatic response. It was almost like he couldn't hold that in. Does that make sense? Like he couldn't regulate. And now it's like, I always felt like we were walking on eggshells then, and I don't feel that anymore. It's amazing what just his body is able to absorb and regulate his emotions and all of the things now versus prior to that. And this was prior to doing the cognitive behavior therapy, all of that. This was just primarily because of reducing that inflammation in his system, that he just is just a totally different kid. This program has helped my child. And I have said a million times, and I'll keep saying it, that any way I can help and get this, my story and my son's story, our family story out there to others that are on the fence of doing this program, or thinking there's no way my kid would ever do it. My kid's too picky of an eater, or we have too busy of a schedule, or, all the excuses. It's like nothing's more important. Nothing is more important than making sure that you're putting your best foot forward for your child and giving them a chance at life, a chance without medication, a chance with no side effects, and a chance to really just live, and that's really essentially what we have been able to do, is just live. Yeah. Like before, like I said, it was eggshells in my house. Sometimes you'd never know what mood that they would wake up in or what mood they'd be in, on different times of the day and things, or if you asked them to do something, you just would never know what sort of response you might get. Like you said, you tell them no at a grocery store for something that they want or whatever, and that's not normal. It's not. And I mean, it's amazing the difference. Like I said, just in 6 months, we started August of last year, but just a week with the bathroom thing. But I mean, just in this 6-month period from August to the beginning of January was a life-changing transformation for our family.